Good afternoon to everyone. Hope everyone had a great day. As this session's recording, so we'll send it out. You don't have to worry about notes. This will be really nice and easy. Hey, Laurie, you got out of your session early too, I think, which is awesome. A few of you are walking right now. That's an amazing move for you. We encourage that strongly. That's it. We like seeing the foliage. Gary too, like everyone.
I'm just getting back. Literally just pulled up in the rented minivan from Clemson. Just got home.
Good stuff.
I'm twoferring it, so I'm going to put myself on mute. And Leila, have a wonderful session. I can't wait to hear.
Thank you.
A little bit about our organization. So for those that don't know me, my name's Evan Schwartz. I'm one of the co-founders here over at Thinkering. And what we're really focused on doing is how do we humanize education? So this crazy mission of ours started a little over a year ago, and really working with schools and communities all around the world to give their teachers access to what if there is no red tape. And we've been able to have some amazing school partners and districts. Clark, who is on the call here today, is one of the biggest supporters possible of this crazy initiative. But we looked around and said, hey, it's enough, right? It's enough failing teachers, it's enough failing kids, and it's enough failing communities. And if we're able to come together and provide that access that's able to spark engagement and curiosity and creativity, that bridge back to the classroom, but then translate into the community, this could really create a shift in the narrative of what education can and should be. So we started this collective, and our flagship program is a fellowship, which we're running throughout LCPS right now as well. We'll run into February and into the spring too, with a culmination event in the spring with a celebration of learning. And what we do through our fellowship program, for those that might not be familiar with it, it's a 10-week program. Educators are surrounded by peers and mentors and amazing individuals like we'll hear from today, like Leila, that have real subject matter expertise and are there with one thing and one thing only: to support you as an educator. It's November 4th, 2025. It is very difficult to be an educator today. That's an understatement. We'll keep it PG on this one. It's 4:30 on Tuesday, but we know the challenges that everyone's facing. And all we want to do is be able to support this, support each individual teacher, take these learnings back to their community, create a project that humanizes education. And then how do we as an organization make that project a reality? Through funding, through research, and through partnerships. So every 3 weeks or so during our fellowship programs, we have amazing guest speakers and workshops from subject matter experts. This one with outdoor education, which is our big focus. Leila has done this for a long time. I'm not going to steal her thunder, but she's amazing at what she does and really has transformed communities throughout outdoor learning and brought it to life. So on that side, I will flip it over to her. She's going to walk us through an interactive experience over the next hour or so. Feel free, if anyone has questions, drop them in the chat. We'll open it up at the end of the conversation for questions too. This session is recorded, and for the group as well. I know most workshops and professional development sessions, everyone's really excited for. They go back and say, like, wait, how do I do that? Right? What we want to be different in is the access point. So Leila is here for the community. Jim, Garrett, and myself are representatives from Thinkering, also for the community. And Clark, the biggest champion of outdoor education, is always there as well. So this is the start of the journey. Ultimately, we want to spark curiosity, showcase what's possible from an outdoor learning lens, and empower you as the educator to go crazy with it. So that's my spiel in a nutshell. I'm going to mute myself. I promise you I'm not going to interrupt anymore on this side. But Leila, it's your show. Thank you so much for being here today. And well, we really appreciate you.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. I'm very excited about this. So this webinar is for you if you are an educator who's looking for ways to humanize education, which you are, by connecting students to the natural world and are specifically into, or at least curious. You need an open mind, because a lot of what I'm about to tell you goes against the common advice. I am going to tell you not to do, others tell you to do, and I'm going to tell you what others might not even consider. So that's why you need an open mind for this. So, and this is not for you if you think that you already know everything about, school gardening and how it should be built, grown, and maintained, and you're here to hear confirmations of your assumptions. This is not for you. This is going to go against a lot of your assumptions. On this, you've been consuming my content for a while. It's very likely that you're going to hear a lot of opposite of a lot of your assumptions. My advice comes from extensive research, knowledge, and full-time experience of well over a decade of growing school gardens, and I mean full-time, not here and there, not part-time, not as a second thing, not as a volunteer, as my bread and butter. Okay, so for well over a decade. So, and I've been doing this in all kinds of school settings. So what I'm about to tell you here, please pay attention, right? And this is not for you if you believe that kids should learn hard work and sacrifice, and you want to grow a school garden to toughen them up and to, uh, prepare them for their quote unquote real world. That is not the approach you should follow. We want to empower through a life skill that could create abundance with ease and fun. That should be your goal in growing the school garden. If you don't deeply agree with that, no matter what I teach you here, you're going to self-sabotage and you're going to make sure that your gardens are difficult. I've seen it so many times. I hope this doesn't offend anybody, but I've seen it so many times that I always put it at the beginning of my webinars. Please don't think that way. It's going to make your life miserable in a school garden. So here's what we're going to learn here. We're going to learn how to grow a school garden that's beautiful, producing food. And I'm talking about lots of food and not just a few tomatoes here and there, like fruits and veggies and herbs and medicine and, edible flowers and seeds. And it's low maintenance, especially during summertime, 100% grown by the students while teachers teach their curriculum. And I'm talking about connecting it to math and science and social studies and language arts and health, so on and so forth. The list goes on and on and on. And it is easy to do without backbreaking hard work for any adult, teachers, administrators, custodians, parents, nobody, personal sacrifices or burnout, which is something that happens a lot with school gardens, unfortunately. So that's what we're going to learn here. We all know the benefits of school gardens in humanizing education. It's about good food. It's about nature. It's about community, local and global, agency, sovereignty, health, mental and physical, all the learning expectations, initiative, teamwork, environmental stewardship. If I get the floor right now, I'm sure that you could come up with 1,000,001 more. So the list goes on and on and on and on. Like curriculum connections, learning expectations, all that. So if that's the case, why don't we all grow school gardens? That's a very good question, right? And it's a question that we really have to consider. The reason is that we collectively think that it's difficult, it's time consuming, it's expensive, and it needs a team of adults to do. And that team of adults, you have to organize them and manage them, makes it even more difficult and more time consuming. That's what we all think. We all think it's very overwhelming to do that. And why do we think that? There are two main reasons for it. First of all, evidence. Evidence shows us that. And the second reason is societal conditioning. Now, we're not going to get into the societal conditioning. There's not enough time in the whole world to get into that. And that's not what we're trying to change or fix here. But my life mission is to change the evidence. Okay, so what is the evidence? The evidence tells us that school gardens are abandoned, and these abandoned school gardens are everywhere. It also tells us that it's exhausting. The educators who try it get exhausted. It also tells us that it creates issues in the community. The parent volunteers get exhausted and they don't feel appreciated, and they resent each other. They become resentful towards the garden. And it doesn't have to be that way. You can do this. And if you leave this webinar with only one thing, I want it to be this. You to know that you can do this, and you can do this with ease, without any of those issues, and you can create positive evidence that helps other teachers along the way, the ones who want to try this later. So a little bit about me. I've done this full time for over a decade, started as a concerned mom. This is my little one. She was born in 2010. And while I was on maternity leave for her, I came across a permaculture video on Facebook that changed my perspective on growing food. And essentially, it changed my perspective on life in general. I decided to give it a try in my own backyard. And after a few years of research, reading books, getting my certificate in permaculture, and growing in my own backyard, I realized how easy it actually was to grow my own food, and decided that the next generation needs to learn about this and somebody has to teach them. So I started an after-school program in my older daughter's elementary school. This was a very, very humble beginning, and I was very naive. I was not an educator back then. You can imagine what I had to go through. But eventually I quit my corporate job as a software developer. Believe it or not, I was a software developer in my past life. So I did a 180 and to dedicate my time to this cause. This became my passion, my life, my obsession. And so throughout this journey, I got certified in permaculture design. I got a master's degree in environmental studies, focusing on food growing education. I got my landscape design certificate. I have an environmental education diploma. I have a business and the environment diploma, yada, yada. Now, I'm not telling you any of, like, honestly, I'm telling you these because some people, it matters to some people if I have degrees and certificates, but what really matters is the experience. And I'm going to talk to you about that. So very, very, very long story short, in 2019 alone, right before COVID, my facilitators that I had trained grew 15 local school gardens with ease. And that's just in that 1 year. And then COVID happened and never mind. These are some of the examples of the gardens that was grown. As you can see, some of them are in containers, some of them are in the ground. We've tried everything, and some of them are really overgrown. This might look messy to you. This, I want to remind you, is there's almost no weeds in here, a few weeds, but it's filled with food. This is all food. It looks really beautiful. And it is like not just like veggies, it's also flowers, seeds, all kinds of different things. So enough about me. Let's talk about the educators that I've worked with. So this is Tanya from Brown Junior Public School. You know what? I think we can provide the slide deck probably to everybody. And if you want, you can read through these. I'm not gonna, take too long to talk about these ones. This is another one. I want to talk about this one a little bit because this relates to what I'm about to teach you on this webinar. So these educators actually in 2022, they did the phase 1 part of the strategy that I'm about to teach you here. And this is what they had to say about it. And then in 2023, they did the phase 2 of the strategy I'm about to teach you here. And this is what they had to do about it. Back then when we all used to use Twitter, this is the tweet that they made back then. So this works. What you're about to learn here actually works. And this is another educator. He did it phase 1. And this picture actually is a phase 2 picture. You'll know when I get to that. And I want to read through this one because this matters a lot. He says, this is Shant, a grade 8 French immersion teacher. He says, don't be intimidated by this program. Well, he's talking about my program. Don't worry about that. Simply based on the results that you are seeing. Because when you see the results like that, it usually implies that a ton of work went into this. So don't be intimidated by that because I kid you not, it's not that much work. If anything, it will help you fill in those gaps in your programming where you've been wondering what to do. And he actually came on my podcast. I have a podcast called School Gardens with Ease podcast. And if you have time and you would like to hear an educator talking about the strategy that I'm about to teach you, you can go ahead, episodes 31 and 32, pulling back the curtain and talking about his experience with this strategy. Okay, so, and I'm telling you this not to impress you, it's only to impress upon you because you'll learn better if you trust me. I mean, I'm like that. If I trust the educator when I am on a webinar or in a class, obviously I put what I hear into practice and I get the results. That's why I'm telling you all this. And also to show you evidence. If you follow my advice, you'll be easily successful. Okay. So what is the advice that's out there? If you Google how to grow school gardens or even some of the books, there are very few books on this topic, but those few books, you go and buy them and read them. They're going to tell you this or a version of this. They're going to tell you step 1, form a garden committee and recruit volunteers. Step 2, determine your goals. Step 3, design the outdoor garden. Step 4, raise funds to build the garden. Step 5, the garden. Step 6, find gardening experts to come show you how to grow the garden or to grow the garden with your students. Step 7, purchase or get donated plants to put in the garden. Step 8, organize planting events to get them planted, usually outside of school hours. That's what happens because we want to organize it with the community. The parents have to come in, yada, yada. Step 9, now arrange watering, weeding, maintenance to be done by the students or the community during school and summer. And essentially cross your fingers and hope for the best in people that they will show up and they will do the work and they're not going to make way too many mistakes and all of that. So this is kind of like advice you see outside of my content that I have seen. It's this or a version of this. Now, when you all of this, what happens? All of a sudden, you remember at the end of this that the students have not really benefited much from this. You've grown a garden, but what did the students learn? So you find lesson plans to teach something related to the garden to say, hey, this was an educational garden. And usually these lesson plans are free lesson plans. You try to put them together yourself. And sometimes you don't even do lesson plans. You're just like, we're going to go out in the garden and water the garden, and we're going to call it an educational garden. At this point in time, there's actually no budget because you've spent all your budget on building this garden. There's no budget to put into lesson planning or anything like that at this point. Oops. Wasn't this supposed to be a teaching tool? It was supposed to be a teaching tool, but it wasn't. What did the students really learn from all of that effort and money that we put into this garden? Not much, right? Maybe they watched us do this and they learned that growing food is hard, but that's not what you wanted to teach them, right? Probably not. What you wanted to show them is that growing food is fun, it's easy, it's rewarding, but you showed the opposite. You wanted to show them where their food comes from and how it's grown. You wanted to teach them the science, language, social studies, arts, collaboration, empathy, patience, and all the related good stuff, all that good jazz that relates to growing food. That was the point of having a school garden. But all you did is build this garden. You were so busy building and growing this garden that education was forgotten. This is unfortunately what happens most of the time. And you did a lot of hard work doing this. You put a lot of time into it, organizing meetings and planting sessions and making sure volunteers show up and do their work and all of that. Just that alone is a full-time job. Ask any community garden manager and they will tell you that that is a full-time job. Last time I checked, you already have a full-time job. The problem here is that we mistake school gardens with community gardens. I'm going to tell you a lot more about this in a few minutes. This just talk about exhausting, right? All that volunteer work with very little educational benefits for the kids. So just think about it. How many school gardens have you seen successful following this common advice that I just told you? I bet not that many. And those who make it work like this end up exhausted and don't want to ever do it again. And that's why we have so many abandoned school gardens everywhere. Now, let's talk about this. Why does this approach not work? I'm going to go through all the steps and tell you what's wrong with this approach. On this slide, we're going to talk about steps 1, 3, 5, 8, and 9, which are the steps that are related to putting together a volunteer group and working with volunteer groups. So there are educational issues with this approach of working with volunteers and logistical issues. So these are the educational issues that I can think of. Focus goes outside the classroom, away from the students, outside of the teacher's control. And we underestimate the students and we think adults should come in and do the work. The work is not connected to the curriculum at all. We try to, connect it, but it's not inherently connected to the curriculum. Students stay disconnected from their garden. Lack of student agency is huge here, and students really don't learn anything. And there's a huge list of logistical issues with this. You have to organize volunteers. You have to hire expert contractors to come in and do the garden. Finding reliable volunteers is harder than you think. Finding experts is hard because experts are not teachers. They are gardeners, and they come in and it just doesn't work. It's too much time outside of the classroom. It's too much conflicting opinions. It's essentially hard to make decisions. We usually collectively, when we all talk about this, we build a conventional, very high maintenance garden, which will have a whole lot of issues, logistical issues for us. down the road, we include unnecessary expensive tools and equipment, things like complicated watering system, raised beds even. Trust me, you don't even need raised beds. Wheelbarrows, I mean, come on. People purchase wheelbarrows for their school gardens. Well, they do that because they think adults are supposed to do this. But if you want to use one wheelbarrow with a class of 20 students, I mean, who's going to, that just doesn't work. I hope you get what I'm trying to say here. Or big shovels. And students can't work with big shovels. Gloves, even. Like if you have an organically made soil, which you should not have any harmful chemicals in the soil that you're using. You do not want gloves. You want your students to actually be touching that soil. Anyway, so I digress. We do that. We do a lot. We purchase a lot of unnecessary tools. It's hard to get things done right. It's too much to expect to do all that of the teachers or even of the parents. Students don't feel strong ownership. Student agency lacks, which creates maintenance issues later down the road. If the students are not excited about taking care of their garden, you're going to have trouble getting them to do that. Essentially, it's too chaotic. It's inefficient and ineffective. You do not need the community to grow this garden with you. And I'm going to tell you how to do it. Okay, so if that's not where we should start, we should not start with putting together a committee or volunteers. Where should we start? In the classroom. And I'll tell you how in a minute. Step number 2, determine your goals. Yes, of course you have to have goals. I mean, absolutely, you have to have goals. But what usually happens is that we mistake this with community gardens and our goals become community garden goals. Because, we collectively have a volunteer group and we all sit down and we compare this with the community garden and we have different goals for it. The only goal that you should have is education. That's the only goal. The goal has to be education. It has to be at the center of everything. Step number 4, we raise funds to build the garden. Fundraising is essential. You have to obviously have funds because you're going to need gardening supplies. You're going to need educational material, lesson plans, and all that. Yes, so fundraise. And I have a lot of respect for those who work in fundraising and bring funds for educational gardens and things like that. But what usually happens is that we forget about lesson plans and the cost of lesson plans. So education is forgotten. And we also, as I mentioned, we build conventional gardens that are expensive. So we essentially waste money as well. What happens? Yeah, money is wasted. Okay, number 6, find gardening experts to come and show you how to grow the garden or grow the garden with your students. The advice is usually not about how to grow a school garden or how to teach in a garden because usually people you bring in are gardeners, not educators. Thankfully, this has changed slightly. If you're lucky and you work with the right groups and vendors, you might, have a better chance, but a lot of times that's not the case. Often these experts are good at gardening, but have no clue about teaching. So education suffers. And even if you work with the best of them, you will be forever dependent on them. If tomorrow or the next year, they decide to switch jobs and do something else and don't provide those programs anymore, what are you going to do with that garden on your hands? Step number 7. Purchase plants to get them donated. This usually means seedlings. Usually it's not seeds. And if it is seeds, please don't get seeds donated to you because seeds need to be come from a reliable source. But that's usually not the case. It's usually seedlings. There are 2 issues with that: educational problems and logistical problems. Students miss out on a very important lesson of growing food. Growing food starts with seed. They are not going to witness germination. They're not going to learn how to take care of plants. Huge miss. So education suffers. Logistically, organic seedlings are harder to find than organic seeds. So you're just going to go with whatever that's provided to you. And when plants are donated, it's hard to control what goes in the ground and what doesn't. And it becomes a messy garden that creates a whole bunch of logistical and maintenance issues for you down the road. So all of that for what? What did the kids learn? Not much. And it became really, really hard. And you're winging it, right? Now, let's flip this backward approach onto its head and do it right. How do we do it right? Education. We're going to put education at the center of the school garden. Lesson number 1, school gardens are not community gardens. They're different goals. They have different goals. They involve different people. They take different steps. They have different timing and schedule. They are different spaces, and there's different activities that you need to do to grow them. Lesson number 2, the goal is only education. Teaching kids where food comes from, how to grow their own food, how to collaborate with nature, the science, language, social studies, math, the curriculum behind growing food. We want to empower them. We want to make sure that we connect it to health and healthy habits and connection with nature, environmental stewardship learning, and the virtues of patience, love, and empathy, and connection to community. These are the things we want to teach. And this is the goal of teaching these in this educational garden. School gardens are hands-on learning tools. So the goal is not to feed the hungry. It's not to create a community hub. It's not to run community programs. It's not to cook with the produce. It's not to create jobs. It's not to make money and raise funds for the school. It is not even to save the earth, the bees and the butterflies, or any other goal other than education. Now, all of these are really good side benefits of a successful school garden. So these can all happen, right? But it shouldn't be your goal at the beginning, because if you do that, you're going to have way too many goals. You're going to overwhelm yourself, and it's going to get really chaotic and difficult. Lesson number 3, a school garden starts and ends in the classroom. It should be 100% done by the students, and I mean building and even designing the garden. It should be 100% led by the teachers. Yes, that means not by parents or any other adult or community vendors. It should be 100% built and grown during class time. And yes, that means not during lunchtime. So don't go and put together a garden club that meets on lunchtime once a week. That's not going to work. Trust me, I've done all of this. Or an after school club or a weekend club in your classroom. And it should be supported by administrators, custodians, and parents, but in a very specific way. Everybody has their own role. Parents can help you with fundraising, with summer maintenance. Custodians, or building caretakers, we call them here, they can help you with setting up and troubleshooting equipment. If your hose goes wrong, if something breaks, if the tap on the wall, no water is coming out of it, it needs fixing, things like that. And administrators, they can facilitate curriculum connection and allowing space and instructional time. So that's how they can support the teacher. So you don't need any volunteers during the school year to grow this garden. Lesson number 4, an educational garden does not need to be outdoors, does not need an outdoor space. It can be 100% indoors and be impressive and produce lots of food and food seedlings. And I'm talking about over 20 varieties of vegetables. And with a class of 20 students, you can grow over 800 food seedlings with one class of 20 students. Then you can harvest and enjoy with your students. You can donate, you can take home, give them to take home, you can sell them and raise funds for your school. Again, if you have a successful educational garden, all of these side benefits can happen, right? And you can do all of that without grow towers, hydroponics, and even grow lights in most cases, or any other fancy, expensive equipment. This can be very accessible to all teachers if it's done right. And this is a very short part of a video that we will watch together later. You can see all of this is outside right now because they're putting up a plant sale to raise funds for their school. But all of this actually was grown by one class of, I think, 25 to 28 students. So a lot can be done, essentially. Lesson number 5. If an educational garden is outside, it has to be built and grown for resilience. It has to be water conserving so that it has less watering during summertime. It has to be weed free so that there's no weeding during summertime. It has to be biodiverse and built with good quality soil. So if you have any budget, put it into soil and seeds. Don't get seeds donated. Don't get plants donated. Spend your money on good quality seeds and good quality soil. I can't emphasize that enough, because with biodiversity and good quality soil, your garden will be disease and pest resistant. And it has to have excellent plant selection that match school schedule. Not everything is a good fit for growing in a school garden, so that you don't have any harvesting during summertime. We're trying to eliminate all the chores during summer so that summer maintenance is easy. A conventional garden is not a resilient garden. So these are some of the techniques that I always teach in my programs, and I also recommend to educators to use hugelkultur, soft irrigation, sheet mulching, mulching in general, dense companion planting, biodiversity, 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 biodiversity. I cannot tell you this word enough. Like biodiversity, man, this is so important. So this is lesson number 5. You have to make sure you do that. So lesson 1, school gardens are not community gardens. Number 2, the goal is only education. Number 3, school gardens start and end in the classroom. Number 4, the educational garden does not need to be outside, but if it is outside, number 5, it has to be built and grown for resilience. Take a screenshot of this. Let me go back, actually take a screenshot of this as well with all these techniques that I have here. I hope that we can provide the slide deck maybe to the, yeah. Okay, so now my advice. So I went on and on and on and on about what not to do. So now let's talk about what to do instead. So my strategy that I teach in my programs, that I tell it, till the cows come home, it's this. Phase 1, you grow an incredible classroom garden. So you do it in 2 phases. Phase 2, you grow a regenerative school garden. It has to be done in 2 phases. Now, why start with the classroom garden? Because you can grow an incredible classroom garden, and I'll show you an evidence video of that. You can have massive success with phase 1 and hit all your educational goals. While you wow everyone with what you produce, you can go phase 1, you can do phase 1 and do phase 1 and do phase 1 for years and years and years and years to come. And don't even think about phase 2. Because if you are, hitting all your educational goals, why go to phase 2? But if you're really excited about it, you can always do that. A successful phase 1 smooths out the path to phase 2 like magic. Because first of all, the learning curve is split into 2 for you. And second of all of a sudden, you'll have a lot of excitement and support from your administrators, your school board, your parents, and other teachers. And raising funds will become very easy for your phase 2, because they're going to be like, if they did this with a classroom garden, imagine what they can do with a school garden. So you'll have to start now. Remember, so even if you want an outdoor garden, you have to start with seeds indoors anyway. Otherwise, what's the point? Growing food starts with seeds. And that's essentially, so you still have to do phase 1. It's my recommendation that you do phase 1 in the first year and then move to phase 2 if you really want to do an outdoor garden in the second year. You'll grow an impressive classroom garden, you'll meet all your educational goals, and most importantly, you won't have to deal with summer maintenance in your first phase. So you can essentially, there's going to be no worries, no volunteer organizing for summer, and you'll be free and you'll have a restful summer. Now, I'm going to show you a testimonial video of this 2-phase strategy. Please ignore that he mentions one of my programs. This is not a pitch or a plug for my programs. It just happens that I use my strategies in my programs as well, obviously. So I want you to focus on the positive outcome as the evidence, because remember, we want to change the evidence that's out there. We want educators to know that this can be easily done and very impressively.
My name is Shant. I'm a grade 8 teacher at Beverly Heights Middle School, teach French immersion. And this year, I was given the opportunity to join Oasis Classroom. I think I gravitated towards this program simply because I love food. I love cooking. I have a side business with a caterer, so I have a very close connection with food and where food comes from, and appreciating good produce and fresh ingredients. And I've always loved gardening, and I've always felt I've had a little bit of a green thumb myself. It went amazingly well, actually. Luckily, had the space to really be able to plant a lot of seeds, snowballed into a lot of plants. And to the point where we were running space, we have to figure out what to do. So we organized a couple of community sales, trying to raise money for our grade 8s and their graduation. So it's been a huge success so far. What I also really appreciated was in the delivery of this program, the full-on lesson plans that were included.
Leila, you have to unmute your mic. I muted you because you were getting an echo with the video. You just have to unmute your mic. There you go.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. I saw in the chat that you couldn't hear it. So we're going to skip the video. If you wanted to hear it, I can always provide it to our organizers and they can, show it to you.
Yeah, we could hear it. It was just an echo. There was just an echo
Okay.
because you were listening to it and it was getting double played.
Okay. Can we do something to fix that, or do you prefer
All you have to do is play the video and mute your mic while the video is playing. That's it.
Okay, let's try that one more time then.
Tech support out.
So my name is Shant. I'm a grade 8 teacher at Beverly Heights Middle School. I teach French immersion. And this year I was given the opportunity to join Oasis Classroom. I think I gravitated towards this program simply because I love food. I love cooking. I have a little side business where I cater. So I have a very close connection with food and where food comes from, and appreciating good produce and fresh ingredients. And I've always loved gardening, and I've always felt I've had a little bit of a green thumb myself. Amazingly well. We've luckily had the space to really be able to plant a lot of seeds, snowballed into a lot of plants. And to the point where we were running out of space, we had to figure out what to do. So we organized a couple of community sales, trying to raise money for our grade 8s and their graduation. So it's been a huge success so far. What I also really appreciated was in the delivery of this program, the full-on lesson plans that were included, and the amazing student booklets with full of graphics and little, word search games, and very easy to follow step-by-step instructions for students to be able to then take that home themselves and reproduce the experiments we did us and grow for their family. And also I was really able to spiral into the various curriculum expectations, especially within science and cells and water. And we even spoke about different weather patterns and climate change and sustainability and how difficult it is to actually cultivate rich soil, because so many different avenues within the curriculum to be able to connect through this program, right down to the mathematics and data management and in collecting, the heights of various plants and the success rate of the seeds that we planted. Now that I know the depth of this program for next year, I'm certainly going to be planning more around this, what I consider a long-term experiential learning, a lot of STEAM connections as well, which was amazing, especially with, creating advertisements for our sales and creating posters and creating transplant guides for parents and other customers. I can go on and on with, the money management aspect of it and overhead costs. And so it was a lot of very hands-on, real-life practical skills that my students gained through this program. I've already decided to every year. Next year, fingers crossed, we're going to actually study for next summer. Would recommend Oasis Classroom 100% to any teacher who's really looking to get their students engaged and hands-on in their learning. To find it was very useful for the students in my class who weren't so good at sitting down for long periods of time and had a lot of problems focusing on the academics of school, and really needed to be up and moving around, kinesthetic and working with their hands and learning at the same time. For any teacher out there who's thinking if this program is good for their class, as long as you have space with good lighting, the sky's the limit with how much or how little you really want to do with your class. If you ask me, I'm going to be including Oasis Classroom in my programming for here on out, and I would recommend it to anybody else as well.
Okay, so hopefully that worked. Looks like it was working. So let's move on. So are you ready now? Let me show you how to do this. Let's go through phase 1, phase 2, and learn how to actually get this done. So if you want to do phase 1, that's your classroom garden. Step 1 is setting up your spaces. You need 2 spaces, a workspace and a caring station or a nursery. You can take a screenshot of this. I'm not going to go through this very quick right now. We want to move past this. These are the things you need for your workspace, and your workspace is your classroom. So your workspace is your own classroom. I'm going to go to the next slide. Okay. So, and this is essentially this type of setup that you create in your own classroom, like 3, 4, 5 of these, and then the students will sit around them and do the work. Step 2 is to create your caring station or your nursery. So you have to find a sunny window somewhere in your school or the northern hemisphere. South facing is the best. East facing or west facing also work, as long as the windows are not blocked by trees, tall buildings, or shade. And if there's trees and you see sunlight coming in wintertime, and those are deciduous trees and they will be in leaf and shade the space, have all of those aspects in mind. But definitely should not be a north-facing window. Sunlight should be shining directly on top of the plants. No matter how bright your north-facing window is, doesn't matter. There's not going to be any, sunlight on top of your plants, at least for 4 hours in a sunny day. So you need to be able to place tables in front of that window, as you can see in these pictures. And you need to have access to this space at least 15 to 20 minutes a week for your students to go in, because the way I teach you, and it is also in one of my guides that I'll tell you where to go and get the guide on my website. There's a very specific sub-irrigated method that we use for growing seedlings that it doesn't need to be watered every day. So once a week is more than enough for you to actually at that space, but it has to be accessible to your students. So it doesn't have to be your own classroom. So if you do have those windows in your classroom, yay. If not, it doesn't have to be your classroom. It can be a teacher's lounge, the library, and the office, a vacant classroom, another teacher's classroom, if they're willing to share with you, the art room, anywhere in your school that has those windows. And only if you can't find such room, you'll need grow lights. But honestly, sunlight works 10 times better than grow lights. With grow lights, it's equipment. You have to, have a timer on it because you at least need 12 hours and it has to turn on and off 12 hours and 12 hours. And there's things break and all of that. But all of that aside, honestly, 4 hours of natural sunlight works much better than those 12 hours of grow lights. Science tells you this. My experience tells you that too. Okay. Step 2, pick your seeds. There is, if you go to my website, kidsgrowingcity.ca, this list of seeds that I recommend to schools is a free resource on my website. Go grab this free resource and I'll tell you what to use and what not to use and why. And not everything is proper for growing in school. It has to be easy to grow. It has to match your school schedule. It has to give you harvest if you're doing phase 2. It has to give you harvest before summer or in the fall when you're back, so that you have no harvesting during summertime. There's a lot of different things that have been considered in this list. Go grab it. Step 3, list all the tasks and chores that you need to do to grow this garden. Seed starting is the first task for this phase 1. And there is a guide. I don't think it's free, but it's very, very low cost guide on my website. You can go grab it. Remember, I told you about that sub-irrigated system that we use. This guide teaches you how to do that. You have to take care of the seedlings. That's another task. You have to find homes for them at the end of phase 1. If you don't have an outdoor garden and you're not moving to phase 2 in that year, and you have to make sure the new parents of those seedlings at the end of the school year know how to take care of them. So maybe with your students, you want to prepare, sheets and guides and things like that to go out with those seedlings that you're giving away or whatever it is that you're doing with them, selling them or whatever. Step number 4, determine your timing. There's 2 aspects of timing when it comes to school gardens. There's seasonal timing, obviously. So you can find that in growveg.com. This is a website that I love. I'm not associated with them. I don't get any kickbacks from them. I'm just a very happy customer. This makes the teacher's lives, anybody's life, any gardener's life, very easy. It spits out a color-coded schedule that tells you when to start seeds indoors in your growing zone, when to transplant them outside, and when to expect to harvest. Super, super cool. And also you need to consider your school schedule. The fact that summertime is off, the fact that there are long weekends and holidays and all of that needs to be considered. So determine your timing, seasonal timing and school schedule. Step number 5, write your curriculum connected lesson plans. You have your listed tasks and chores, you have your timings, and you have your curriculum, obviously. So use those to write your lesson plans. One big mistake to avoid. I see a lot of educators, they look at their curriculum and they say, what can I write that is related to gardening but covers my curriculum? Don't do that. You should start with the listed tasks and chores that you have to do to grow this garden and then connect those to your curriculum. So you have to do it the other way around, because the goal is to grow a garden while teaching your curriculum. And starting with your curriculum, you'll end up with a bunch of sporadic, uncohesive lesson plans that will not grow you a garden. I hope that makes sense. And last step, execute your lesson plans that you wrote. All you need for that is a sunny window, seeds, soil, and a few inexpensive supplies. You, your students, your prep and class time, and that's it. And your lesson plans, obviously. So how do you do phase 2? The outdoor school garden, exactly the same as phase 1, only with a longer list of tasks. So you set up your spaces, you pick your seeds, you list all the tasks and chores that you need to do to grow this garden. You determine your timing, you write your curriculum connected lesson plans, and you run your lesson plans. Now, the only difference between these two phases is the list of tasks. On top of the tasks of phase 1 that you have to do anyway, now you're going to have to do these tasks as well. You want to pick a garden type, you want to design an outdoor garden, build the outdoor garden, sow and transplant in that garden, water the garden daily, arrange for parent volunteers for summertime. And you still do all of that with your students. It's a student-powered program, and it's led by you, and it's supported by parents and admins. Same stuff that we just talked about, right? And it's and it all can happen in your curriculum connected lesson plans. Now, why do you need lesson plans? Like, even if it's just like one sheet of paper of you jotting down a few things about how are you going to run this activity, what time of year are you going to do that? Even if it's just simple as that, it matters, because it's the only way to grow an educational garden during class time without you or the students getting lost and not what to do when to do it. Why do you need to do it during your class time? Because it's the easiest way to make it educational, the main and the only goal of an educational garden, without teacher or parent burnout, which happens to most of the school gardens. A teacher-led, student-grown school garden is the only type that works. It's highly educational, it's highly productive, it's highly inspiring, and it's accessible to all students because it can be done by any teacher. Now, I've done it all. I've done after school programs, I've done lunchtime clubs, I've done planting events with the community. I've seen it done by parents. I've done one-time gardening workshops for the students, for the teachers, all kinds of it. I ended up finding out that as a vendor, an in-school inside the classroom, besides the classroom teacher, is the best way for me as a vendor to do this, because it's 100% hands-on learning, but no one knows your students and curriculum better than you, the teacher of the classroom. I cannot know that, right? I show up to your classroom once a week for 1 hour. I don't know your students, cannot connect it further to your curriculum. You know your curriculum, you know your students. So that's why this is the way that I have been doing it for a while now, as a coach, as an in-school coach for the classroom teacher, because that's the best way to do it. And as you can see, this is all about logistics. The logistics of a school garden has to be the right logistics. If you do it on lunchtime, you're gonna, bump into a lot of issues. If you do it a one-time gardening workshops, there's a lot of issues with all kinds of different things. There's only one way that this works. Okay, so what not to do? Number 1, don't start a community, like a volunteer group. School gardens don't need adults. School gardens should be done by the learners. Your students are more than capable of even designing and building their garden under your guidance, especially grades 3 and up. Getting parents excited about doing hard work at the beginning is hard. Even if you find the right ones who are willing to volunteer, it's going to be chaotic and a lot of work and effort, but it's very easy when the garden is grown because everybody wants to be part of something that's so successful. What do you do instead? Do it in your own classroom time and connect it to your own curriculum. Just you and your students. It's easy, abundant educational gardens are led by teachers and grown by students and only supported by parents. Number 2, don't start the garden with plants that you purchase or get donated, because growing food starts with seeds. Your students will miss out on an important part of growing food. What do you do instead? You start a classroom garden with growing seeds into seedlings, and we learned about that on this webinar. Number 3, don't complicate the goals of a school garden by trying to do everything under the sun once. It gets overwhelming, it's unreasonable, and this is not a community garden. What do you do instead? Education is the main goal and the only goal of your garden. Other goals are side benefits that will happen if you have a successful garden. Let's just focus on teaching kids how to work with nature, grow their own food, and all the science and math and all the good jazz that goes behind it. Number 4, don't forget about the lesson plans. Whether you join any of my programs that I give you the lesson plans, or you want to write your lesson plans yourself, lesson plans come with a cost. The time teachers put into writing those lesson plans has value. Even if you quote unquote do it for free, you'll still have to spend time to do that, and somebody else has to come and cover your class, right? Your time matters. So we're paying for it one way or another. So don't forget to allocate time and budget for lesson plans. And what do you do instead? Allocate time and budget for the lesson plans. Number 5, don't grow a conventional garden. It's prone to pest and disease. It wastes water. So there's a lot of watering during summer. It's weedy. There's a lot of weeding. It's expensive, and it's difficult. It's expensive to build, and it's expensive to maintain, and difficult to maintain. So what do you do instead? You build and grow a resilient garden using permaculture principles and techniques such as hugelkultur, sheet mulching, guild planting, and all of that. And biodiversity. I cannot say biodiversity enough. There is a guide for hugelkultur in schools on our website. You can go ahead and check that out. Regenerative design. Remember, we had logistics, and now we have regenerative design. So long story short, the right strategy is one that considers logistics, and it also has regenerative design. And that's it for me. Thank you very much for having me. This is my email address if you want to reach out to me, and that's my website if you want to go grab those free and low-cost material. And I'm here for you, and I'm here if you have any questions.
And thank you so much, Leila. Let's give her all a round of applause. That was amazing. My name is Garrett Wilhelm. If you don't know me, I am Possibility Architect over at Thinkering Collective. It's a name I like to create for myself, basically to say, we have these types of projects going on right now. I have my fellows on this call in our fellowship. We're currently running a 10-week fellowship. I see Sarah, I see Jennifer, I see all kinds of great people. We are doing this work on the ground right now. Leila is going to be and is a thinker partner, has been for a long time, and is a resource to all of you. We will make those connections. We will ensure that you don't need to remember everything on this call. We'll send you everything that you need if you want to build a school garden in your school community, and we hope you do. I don't want to take any more of your time. Again, if you're not in the fellowship, what are you doing? What are you doing? We are Thinkering Collective, 90 plus partners across the world, serving up education innovation in classrooms by superpowering educators just like you. Get on our February fellowship. We've been working with Clark for upwards of 2 years now. That's your Office of Sustainability Director, to provide this experience for you guys. So please, please, please join us in February. We'll get you all the information to do so. Check out Thinkering Media. We put content out all about these projects. In case you're wondering what we're doing, it's on Substack. Link is in the chat. Thank you guys so much. I am an LCPS parent. I have 5 children in the schools. 1 has graduated into Clemson. I was just there. My other 4 are currently, including a stage 3 autistic child at Aurora. So I cover all kinds of learners in LCPS, and I'm super grateful for all of you. Thank you guys so much. Get in touch with us. Leila, really appreciate you. Keep thinkering out there, and we'll see everyone very soon.
Every seed we plant is more than food. It's a story, a memory, a bridge between us. Together, we're growing something bigger than a garden. We're growing community.
Ready to bring it to life? Yes! Connect the motor here. Perfect. Now watch. Every village, every child deserves the tools to build the future.